Good morning. Good morning. Well, welcome back to the 36th annual Crestone Energy Fair. Yeah. I'm really excited to introduce our next panel group of speakers. This is DEgeneration to REgeneration, stewarding the mycelial network for transformation. This panel, they will be exploring how we can shift from systems of degeneration towards regenerative, earth-centered ways of living. The conversation will be led by Mandy McGill, co-steward of the Earth Regeneration Alliance, who has spent a decade working in planetary regeneration, connecting people to hyperlocal, nature-inspired systems that restore soil, food, biodiversity, and human health. She's joined by Jared Firstel, systems strategist and ERA co-steward, who designs regenerative financial models and bioregional blueprints to return governance, capital, and land stewardship to right relationship with the earth. And there's more. And Ben Clark, spiritual guide and regenerative leader who ensures initiatives remain rooted in love, truth, and attunement to nature while bridging ancient wisdom with modern ecological systems. Together, they will share ERA's vision, tools, and bioregional approach to regeneration, highlighting how collective nature-aligned systems can support current efforts and nurture new initiatives that restore the planet and communities. So, give it up for Earth Regeneration Alliance crew.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. We're really excited to share with you all today what has been brewing for us over the last year or so, and for Mandy, 10 years or so. And well, I'm really nervous, and I'm just going to say it right now because, I woke up this morning and my dog he's a German short-haired pointer. Some of you maybe have seen him out here today. And he wakes up and he's ready just to run and get out and explore and be in nature. And I wake up and he's laying on my bed in my little RV and he's looking out the window and he's just sitting there like, come on, dude, I gotta go find something. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, come on, dude, I'm so nervous for this. I gotta go back to sleep. And I think before we get into ERA and what it is and how we see it integrating with our communities, I think on that note as well is at the root of ERA is really coming back to our relationship with ourselves, with nature, and with all of life. And someone, I don't remember who exactly it was, I believe it was yesterday, was talking about authenticity being one of the highest vibrations. Us being able to show up just as we are and be able to be met with where we're at in our current life experience, how we're able to show up, and what we're interested in and what our passions are and what we're struggling with. And so, I think as we share what ERA is, we want this to be an invitation into an authentic remembering of our relationship with life and allow this to be a safe space for all of us to feel seen and heard. And so I also just want to give a little shout out to all of the crew in Crestone and the volunteers. If you're a volunteer, you're listening to this, can you put your hand up? Because this has been really an amazing event. And, it's really Cindy here. Shout out to Cindy Reinhardt. She has been an absolutely wonderful guide for us being welcomed into Crestone, introducing us to so many incredible people. And we feel so deeply grateful, Cindy, for all that you've shared with us and for everyone else that's here. And, putting on an event like this it's not easy when it's perfect weather. And we've had rain and we've had wind, and yet everyone's getting up on Sunday morning after multiple days of this and still hopping in the ice bath. So I think it says a lot about where we're at the land that we're on, the people that are here and a part of this community. So, so with all of that, I'd also like to take a moment and ground us right here into this moment. So if I invite us all to close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, and just root your feet into the ground a little bit. Really feel your feet, even if it's through your shoes, being held by this earth. And just take a moment and take a deep breath, breathing in through the nose, filling up that space right below your belly button. And let it out. And another deep breath. Feeling the body come back to its center. Feeling the earth beneath your feet. The air on your skin. The birds chirping in the background. And feel the person that's next to you. Feel that energy of having people around you that are on a similar mission, that share similar passions, that are here because we remember. Taking another deep breath in and really feeling the energy of this land and this community as you breathe out. And coming back into this space and opening your eyes whenever you're ready. So we're talking, this weekend about nurturing resilience. Not just talking, we're walking it. We have people all over this community, not just in this little space, but all over the place doing demonstrations and having live experiences of really not only talking about what it means to nurture resilience, but showing it and being it. And, as I was reflecting on nurturing resilience, I was really actually in a way taken aback by this idea. I've heard a lot of people talking about creating resilience. And I really loved that the theme here wasn't about creating resilience. It's about nurturing it. Because it's not something we have to create. It is something that's right here, right in the very heart of the soil that's beneath us, in the trees and the leaves and the grass and the animals and all of the beings that are with us. Resilience is at the very core of life. And so it's not something that we have to go out and create something new, but it's about coming back to that remembrance and remembering how to be resilient. The earth has been here for, 12, 13 billion years? That's resilience. And we are a part of all of that. And so, when the other kind of core theme, and Mandy and Jared are going to get more into, how this actually plays out within ERA and within all the communities, we've heard over and over this weekend about a paradigm shift. Not just system change, not just, a solution, but we're at a time on this planet in our communities where it's time for a deep paradigm shift in how we interact with all of life. And so, right now, there's kind of two camps of people. There's a lot of disillusionment and a lot of fear and a lot of anger and a lot of hopelessness about where we're at and where we're going as a society. But there's also a lot of hope and a lot of courage and a lot of compassion and a lot of excitement. I think what we've felt here is that side of things, a lot of that. The hope, the excitement. We know that something beautiful is happening right here. And we're communing together because of this. And so we've all been living in a system in this world and society that has been rooted in a very core belief within our society, which is that we are not a part of nature. That humans, for some reason, evolved for millions of years and with all of nature. And then suddenly, we stopped being a part of nature and we started being something else, something that was superior to nature, so we thought. And so we started trying to control the environment that's around us and starting to dominate what was around us, starting to extract and take from this earth because we believe, well, we're the best. It's all here for us, and so let's just keep on taking. And our then society has been built in this route, and our governance and our economic models have mirrored this, an extractive and industrialized paradigm. And so really what we're inviting us all into is a new paradigm, one that is rooted in this remembrance, a paradigm in where we remember who we are in our connection to nature, but not only remember it, but actually bring that remembering through embodiment into our systems in which our communities all interact in home, in place. And so today we really want to invite you in to take all of the things that you've learned about how business operates, how money moves, how we own things, how we continue taking, and how we all have to kind of compete for our place within this change, and take all of that and just set it aside today for the next hour and put it in a box, and we'll come back to it later if we need to, if we want to, but we might not. Maybe we can just leave that all in the box, and we can all come together and we can step into a new way of being where we all honor all of life and our communities thrive because of it. So, without further ado, I would love to share this with the mic with Mandy or Jared. I don't know who's coming up first, to help ground this new paradigm into a reality in which we can mimic and mirror nature in how we design economic and governance models, particularly focusing on how these models mirror the mineral cycles and the water cycles and our community dynamics and our energy cycles within nature. So, Jared, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, brother. Wow. This guy, absolutely incredible.
I don't think we have anything else to say. I think
Yeah,
that was it. That was amazing.
Yeah, amazing, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Well, today we're going to kind of talk through the story of ERA, Earth Regeneration Alliance, of us, and how this came to be. And we're going to talk about what that is as well. But a lot of it has to do with Mandy's story over the past 9 years. And so I'm also here to mention there's also nerves in the both of us. Mandy has some nerve damage, and so if you see her shaking, it's okay. She's all right.
It's all good.
And so we're going to start with, Earth Regeneration Alliance ERA. At the core of it is a purpose trust. And the purpose of that purpose trust is to realign humanity with all of life. And so the decisions that we make inside as a team have to align with that purpose. And so the way that I want to step into this today is starting with Mandy and the opening of a bidirectional flow of energy and the example of the salmon returning to their spawning grounds.
And I want to add, thanks, Jared, this purpose trust, it's a dynasty purpose trust. It is able to go for 365 years. So we have plenty of time. I mean, I'm thinking we could do this in the next 19. Like, we're going for 2044. However, it's something to be stewarded. It's a living being. And so it allows us to move back into relationship because we're in so much disconnection. And yeah, the salmon in the water, that was something that really came to me through 9 years of different paths I was taking, and recently learning about the dams coming down on the Klamath River in Oregon and how fast the salmon returned to their ancestral spawning grounds. I was like, that's how I feel too. And by the way, my spirit animal is a salmon. So I was like, this is really cool. And so, yeah, and then it was also like, okay, well, when the dams are removed, that's not only allowing the salmon to do their thing, it's also allowing the flow of life, water, to come through the other way, right? Which creates the toroidal fields on the earth. I mean, this moves into infinity and regeneration and living cycles, all these things. So I don't know if you want to start with...
Yeah, we're going to start with things Mandy has tried and what she learned from that over the past 9 years, trying to figure out how do we move forward in collective harmony and back into right relationship with all of life. So the first thing was in 2015, Mandy watched a documentary and was like, I'm going to be a vegetarian, and then I'm actually going to become a vegan. So talk about that a little bit, and then what kind of came from that? What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, so I watched a lot of the typical documentaries back in 2015, like Cowspiracy and Food Inc. and Human Experiment, all these things that made me go, well, I'm not going to eat meat ever again, obviously. Like, I know too much now. I can't unknow these things. And so I tried going vegetarian first, and the goal was to go vegan. Both my husband and I did this. I was a personal trainer at the time as well, and it was like it just didn't work for my body. I didn't feel good. I started to get sick, and I had to listen to that. And when I listened, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to eat meat again, I have to know where it's coming from. And that's what led me into the realm of starting to meet farmers and ranchers and starting to understand stewardship practices and like authentic treatment of animals that were truly animal welfare, like what you really want to see. And it's not these like things hidden away, you know, in these industrial farms. It's, I can go and meet my farmer rancher. They're like, yes, please come. Please have a meal here with us, like that kind of thing. And that's what really made me realize, okay, it's not so much about what you're eating, it's about where it's from, it's about how it's grown, how it was treated, how it was raised. That's what matters. And the thing that really hammered that in for me was most industrial vegan food is highly processed and is killing the planet and people and all life. And that's where I was like, okay, barrier number one. That was like my first dam that I hit like a salmon. I was like, that's not working. Next.
Okay, next. She went to a B2B farmer's market. And started asking everybody, how can we help you? Where can we help out?
Yep, I walked around. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I formed my company the day before called Tribe Green Rising. And I walked around with these business cards that I had done at Office Max like so fast. And I'm like, what do you need to make this food system work? Do you need a hub? Like, what do you need? And they're all like, I don't know. Like, no idea. And what really got me was I went around the corner and there was this guy there, not from Colorado, not a grower, and he was selling produce. He was a broker. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, something's broken, right? It's like we've got all these local people doing local stuff together. But we have this one like random guy like with this cart with like industrial produce from California. That didn't feel right. It was like something's missing. Did I have another note on that?
I don't know.
No, I think that was it.
That was good.
Okay, next.
Okay, next.
That was barrier number 2. All right.
Okay, and then Mandy's like, all right, there's got to be a single solution here. Let's make an app.
Yeah, let's make an app. All right, so started that in 2018. I'm like, let's do an app, because obviously we need to help people find local, organic, non-toxic, sustainable food products and services. That's going to fix everything. Started talking with a really prominent nonprofit in California. We were in all these conversations. I was super excited, had no freaking clue how to do any of this. And then it was like early 2020. We were in some really deep conversations. COVID hit. Honestly, really grateful for that for a lot of reasons, because it made me press pause, and it made a lot of us press pause. And actually, that's another piece that I want to talk about, but that's later. But anyway, so this app, realized that's not really the solution either, and that even went into all the way up to February of this year. It turned into an app called Rooted in Real. Real was an acronym for regenerative, ethical, authentic, and local, working on it with 2 other amazing women. And we realized, wow, we're trying to create closed-loop food access by doing like, how can we charge enough for this app to also help local soup kitchens and food banks purchase nutrient-dense, regenerative, non-toxic food. The app was going to cost $8 a month, and it was only to help you find like your local regenerative food. Unless you're traveling, like once you figure out where to eat in your town, you're not going to use it. So there's going to be a massive churn rate, and we were having to look at taking what we realized was very extractive venture capital. and having to give away a lot of our company, which felt like giving away our soul, our ethos. And it was like, that's not necessarily what they're trying to do, but that's the way the system is currently set up. So it's like, all right, barrier, what was that? Barrier number 3?
That's barrier number 3.
Yeah, barrier number 3. Bam, another one. Nope, didn't work. Okay, next.
And Mandy's somebody who gets enlivened by something.
Just a little bit.
And needs to take immediate action. And so, I think that's something that my generation specifically struggles with a lot of, where can I make an impact? And so the next one's about Mandy's actual POA and
HOA.
HOA. Yeah.
Here it's a
HOA.
POA, there
Yeah.
it's an HOA.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they were still spraying and have gone back to it. 2,4-D, which is half of Agent Orange. And dicamba and all these other horrible chemicals that are also all in the same group of what's sprayed on industrial food. So I'm like, wait, you're gonna spray this, like broadcast spray this all over the lawn in front of our condo? Are you kidding me? So I went to some pretty massive lengths, ended up getting a violation. They tried to discredit me to my entire community. I had no way to fight back. They're telling everybody that she's crazy and like doesn't know anything, that kind of thing. We even started a regenerative landscaping speaker series, and I brought together this amazing group of people who had goats that were doing fire and weed mitigation and like biochar and compost and regenerative landscaping with fungal sprays and native seeds, and this woman doing mycelial networks that like actually bring soil health back through the moisture horizon in the soil, like with inoculants of mycelial networks. So all these very cool things that we could have done with landscaping, and no, they didn't want anything to do with it. So I'm like, all right, next.
Yeah, time to find a new place to live.
Yeah, we are working on that. We're kind of stuck, and we're really trying to get out, but anyway.
And that actually transitioned you directly into working with those local regenerative stewards in the regenerative landscaping space, and started the biological fire mitigation crew out in Durango. So let's hear about that.
That's what's fun when you work with life. Life doesn't discriminate, right? So it's like, oh, you don't like regenerative landscaping, but you have money for fire mitigation? Perfect, let's do biological fire mitigation. Woo! I immediately, in the middle of emails with one in particular board member who was very unhappy with how much I was fighting everything, I contacted our fire department chief in Durango, and he loved it, and I got an email right after I got off the phone with the fire department chief from the board member that was like, you do not have the right to talk to the fire department, and I'm like, well, I already did. And so we actually had a meeting with our fire department chief with the guy who runs goats. It's called Durango Goats. Jonathan Bartley used to be a wildland firefighter in Eastern Oregon, very arid area. And he came in, and so did Dr. Lauren Saplicki with the mycelial networks to chat with the fire department, and they're like, we love what you're doing. We are a publicly funded entity. We don't have the ability to do this, but will you please help us? Hell yes, we will. So, what was my next thing? Oh, yeah. Okay, so also our county loved this. We had county commissioners that were, everybody's excited. So these are these barriers that you're like, everybody wants this. Why can't we freaking get there? This is insane. We also presented to the Wildfire Advisory Board, Forest Service, and fire department, everybody there, and everybody loved it. It was amazing. And we even had access to 150 acres in one of the most ready-to-burn areas in our county, and we are in a county. I'm in Durango. I was born in the valley, by the way. And I live in Durango. And in La Plata County, it's the third most ready to burn in Colorado. And then this specific area where we had access to this land is one of the top to burn. By the way, a fire happened there this past summer. Thank goodness they got on it, but it was literally where we were going to do this work. And so what ended up happening with that was wait, is that where I go into the grant? Perfect. So we had this 150 acres, like everything's lining up, but it was like, oh, our language, because it's with life, doesn't fit the current extractive grant language. So it's like, oh, okay, wait, so now we still can't do this, because the whole idea was like, we understand that current fire mitigation practices can't be changed overnight, but we can come in alongside and we can help mitigate the mitigation. Because in these arid areas that actually need the soil to be healthy and need the trees to be thriving along with their partners like ruminant animals, like goats, we can come in and help do that while we start seeing a prototype actually succeed. And then that allows us to start transitioning how that's happening all over the place. Because drought and wildfire is just a lack of relationship with the land. And so, anyway, was that? That was barrier number 5. Bam, another problem. Okay, we're done with that.
Okay, so thank you. Then Mandy, actually I met Mandy in this agriculture legislation with the state of Colorado. Started working on this. Explain a little bit about what that tax credit was and the barriers that you went up against there as well.
Okay, so we tried a 25% income tax credit incentive for on-premise, local on-premise food and beverage to purchase local regenerative food. And it was Cynthia James Stewart at the James Ranch. She has a grill there, and she does like 95% local and regenerative sourcing, which we all know is not easy to do. And she's like, how do we help have more food and beverage be able to do this? So we thought about this tax credit. And being the crazy one that I am, during the 2024 session, I asked one of our Department of Ag guys, I was like, hey, could we take that 25%, could we break it into 3 levels, 25, 20, and 15, have those relate to the transition phase of the farm or ranch, not with like hard barriers like no chemicals, because then there's no ability to transition. You've got to have a path for transition to start coming off of the chemicals and starting to regain that life flow. And so it was like, okay, we could start co-creating a beginning, middle, and full transition and have those relate to the tax credit, which could then relate to customers. And you could start understanding, okay, like this whole system is coming back to life and they're in like the middle level, which is a 20, it just all flows together. So we thought this was great. Everyone loved it. Flew through the Senate unanimously. It went through everything. The House, the same day that we did the Wildfire Advisory Board meeting in Durango, I found out that the bill wasn't going to be calendared. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm going to drive up there right after that and talk to the House Appropriations chair. And I very tearfully, I pulled her out of committee, and I very tearfully showed her this big drawing that I did. And I'm like, but look at what could happen. And she's like, I love your bill, but we have a massive deficit. Financially, we can't do it. And she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, barrier number 6, bam! All right, moving on.
I love the BAMs.
Okay.
The BAMs are great. So at this point, a lot of barriers to trying to achieve the desired work in alignment with what we're all trying to do here. And so Mandy has had firsthand experience in that, and at the same time has had many epiphanies, which people close to her know that they are called PIFs.
PIFs, lots of PIFs.
Yeah, a lot of PIFs along the way. Synchronistic encounters with different individuals, different conferences that have really enlivened a new way of thinking of what is possible. And so this is sprinkled along the way. And we're going to talk about each of these as well. And so we're going to start with number 1, which is local, organic, non-toxic, sustainable food products and services.
Yes, so that was my whole thing back between like 2015 and 2017, out of control, telling everybody about it. Ended up going to visit my mom in Durango before my husband and I moved back down there. And we went to James Ranch. And Dave James was still doing these really cool tours, like 2.5 hours. He would take the tractor and drag a big trailer and take us around for like 2.5 hours, telling us about all the regenerative things. Before we went on that, I hadn't even met him yet, but I'm like, Dave, I'm so excited about this local or blah, blah, blah. And I said the word sustainable. And he's like, oh, Mandy, the term's not sustainable, it's regenerative. I had not heard that before. And I was like, oh, well, what's this? And then we go on the tour, and I'm like, oh, this reminded me of a paper I wrote when I finished school at CSU about biodynamic winemaking and farming, which that was when I was 25, and that was the first time in my life that I'm like, this is what makes sense. Life, are you kidding me? Life all together, working together, community, and all these dynamic aspects. That felt right, but I didn't find that again until Dave said the word regenerative. And then I dove into anything I could find, which wasn't that much back in 2017, but it was enough to make me go, oh, this is it. Because now this can be kind of the umbrella term, because I don't know how much everybody knows about biodynamics, but it starts to get into these really cool things with celestial cycles and all these amazing things. But for the mass public, that doesn't really land. And so regenerative kind of started to get more into that realm of what people could wrap their heads around. But everything, I mean, this is not new. It's indigenous ways of working with the land. This is ancient knowledge that we forgot. We lost it. And now it's so globalized that, 97% of the globe is on this track, whether we want to be or not. So it was like, all right, well, here it is. Here's that thing of life again. Was that it?
Beautiful, Piff. Yeah. And then Mandy goes to the Regenerate conference and met Betsy Ross.
Yes. Betsy Ross is no longer with us. Rest in peace. It was like 2018, I went to a Regenerate conference, and I heard her speak about the fact that there are dormant seeds in the land. I had no idea about this. So she's like, yeah, people don't realize, like they think that these things are extinct. No, there's a dormant seed bank. There are seeds out there just waiting for the right conditions. My degree is in sociology and environmental affairs. And I'm like, I had studied like tragedy of the commons and all these things I was fascinated with. And I'm like, dormant seeds, oh, that's the same with people. There are dormant seeds of love, connection, and creativity just waiting out there, vibrating, waiting for the connections, because we all actually want these things. So that was like, thank you, Betsy.
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
Oh yeah, then COVID happened. And Earth led the first prototype and was like, hey, you guys, by the way, I'm always regenerating. Your mindset right now is getting in the way. But now that you're out of the way, let me show you how fast we can do this. And how fast did we see the smog clear, the waters clear, the animals come out of their hiding places? Like, thank you, we can breathe again. So that was an aspect of like, all right, so that's how fast that can happen. And we also saw how fast what we think are these amazing food systems with all this distribution nationally and globally, how fast that breaks down. The fact that food does not grow in the grocery store. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. And then Manny got trained in holistic management through the Savory Institute.
Yes. I am so grateful to have gotten trained in that, because I found holistic management, Savory Institute stuff around the same time as Dave James telling me about regeneration, regenerative ag. And I ended up getting trained in it in 2023. And the thing that really locked it in for me and helped my mind start working with how can we actually create a system that mimics this, even though it's dealing with economics and business and all these things. So the big thing that got me was the predator-prey relationship specific to grassland areas. And in savory stuff, this is like the brittleness scale. A 0 is the tropics, 10 is the desert. And in here, we're probably at like a 7-ish, maybe an 8, where we're in like a monsoonal cycle. So you have these dry times, and then you have a ton of rain, like last night. And it's like, that's amazing. And when the land doesn't have these relationships and it's not healthy and there aren't roots in the ground and the ruminant animals like elk, sheep, goats, moose, cattle, whatever, moving around doing the herd impact that land co-evolved with, the water can't seep in. So it runs off. It creates erosion, especially after these rounds of drought and wildfire, blah, blah, blah. Or it evaporates, right? So it's not getting sunk down into the aquifers and all these kinds of things that nature naturally does. And so once I realized that, we used to have millions of bison moving across and wolves were pushing them. And so there's a very specific relationship of that animal because of the way their digestive system functions and the way their hooves break the soil crust, allows water infiltration, presses in the seeds, the way their saliva has the microbial things. The land is like, thank you, you're back, and you're here in a way that I have co-evolved with you. So what I love talking about too is in these more arid areas, you can have no animals on land in an area like this, or you could have animals all over it. Cattle are like, I know what I want to eat, and I'm not going to eat like all of this. I'm just going to pick. And they overgraze specific plants. That's desertification, right? Because those mycelial networks are drawn from. It starts pulling from that root system. And so that's what creates that lack of health. And now here we are. And because nature is not a machine, it takes a while to see these tipping points. And here we are 10,000 years past the agricultural revolution, where those levels of breaking of those relationships has now reached these massive tipping points. So,
did you want to talk about the salmon and the cattle at all?
Oh yeah, amazing holistic management teacher, Andrea Malmberg. She and her husband, Tony is also no longer with us. Rest in peace, Tony. They are amazing. And I remember when she was talking about how they are restoring riparian habitats in Oregon with their cattle and bringing salmon back. So here we are with the proper right relationship, and the salmon are returning. It's not about cattle being bad. It's not about whether or not you eat meat or what. It's not the thing. It's how are we in relationship or not. That's the thing, right? So it's like, yeah, we have all these, conversations about, cattle are bad on public lands and all these things. No, it's how they're being managed. And they need to be in right relationship because they're amazing animals. And they're not even native to this area. It's like, that's another thing. Okay, I'm going to stop.
I believe we have 15.
God, we have things to do.
Okay, great. Then Mandy read Ishmael,
Okay,
which is a big one.
this is my favorite book in the world. Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. I'm going to read a specifically, hold it for me so I'm not all shaky. Thank you. Okay. This right here, it was another one of those like piff moments where I'm like, oh my God, humans are not bad. There's a narrative out there right now that's like, humans are terrible. We are like this cancer on the planet. No, we're not. It's the system that we're in. We want to be in right relationship. Everybody does. So this was amazing to me. By the way, it's a telepathic gorilla and the narrator having a conversation, so you get to just like witness the awakenings so I'm like, this is awesome. Okay, so it says, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with people. Given a story to enact that puts them in accord with the world, they will live in accord with the world. But given a story to enact that puts them at odds with the world, they will live at odds with the world. Given a story to enact in which they are the lords of the world, they will act like lords of the world. And given a story to enact in which the world is a foe to be conquered, they will conquer it like a foe. And one day, inevitably, their foe will lie bleeding to death at their feet as the world is now. Like, whoa, it makes me emotional to say that. So it's like, it's not us who we are as people. We need to remember and go back to the old ways, but also take the best of who we've been and bring that forward with us. Okay.
I think that Spirit's telling me that I shouldn't be talking because the microphone keeps going on. For me. Okay, and then you met me. I guess that's the next feat.
I met Jared in 2023. We were working on legislation together, and started realizing obviously that wasn't the solution. It wasn't working, but we started talking about mycelial networks, and I'm like, we need mycelial networks of people all across the planet, like connecting, like synarchically, and all these cool relationships. And he's like, well, yeah. And he's like, I want to help you with that, whatever that looks like. I'm like, I have no idea what it looks like. I just know what it feels like. And so, yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so Manny at this point.
And we co-created these things together because he helped to bring this, he helped to bring it down to the ground. As you can tell, I'm very like up here and like out of control. I'm very excited. And Jared's like, whew, that's a lot of energy. I gotta like ground that a little bit. So that's where Jared came in. I'm like, thank you, because oh my God.
Right, exactly right. So how can we ground this in something that we can all be a part of that actually truly makes a systemic change? And so that's what ERA is working on. And so at this point, Mandy has run up against the current system time after time, has had epiphanies all along the way, and led us together to create something that we believe is as ancient and new, taking the wisdom of ancient and applying it to the current systems to create something that is truly new and brings people back into right relationship with place and back to collective stewardship. And so we're going to talk a bit about that. And so what at this point, well, actually, you want to talk about the predator and prey grasslands? Or did you already do that?
We'll just go into the,
All right. Okay. So the industrial system is not the place in which we can truly create a new. We need to create something new.
It's a system of death meant for nothing but extraction, as we all know.
Okay. It's true. The current system is a system based on domination. It's based on hierarchy. And what we're looking to create here is something that is based in stewardship and collective stewardship and place-based right relationship, economics, and governance. And so we're going to talk about energy flow, water cycles, community dynamics, and mineral cycles, and how the wisdom of nature has given us the intelligence for us to create this new economic and governance model. And so we're going to start with energy flow.
So right now, you can have all the well-intentioned money, activism, nonprofit work, all these amazing things, but it's going into a system that fragments it, it leaks off of it, it gets stopped, you run on grant cycles that then get pulled. Like, why is it so hard to do the good stuff? While the industrial system just continues to fly right along and just continues to get more hierarchical. And so when we think about energy flow, I think about, this is going back to holistic management stuff. So you think about like the sunlight right now, right? And it's like a lot of that in terms of our economics and governance is based in money right now. And right now, there are a lot of philanthropists out there who are like, I want to put my money somewhere good. I want it to have impact. And this is something that we're finding is like impact investment, philanthropy, whatever. It's not having the level of impact that they really, really desire. And so they're looking for where can that have traction. And that's where we're like, well, here's this global recipe for regeneration because it literally is how nature functions. However, it is context defined, it's community defined, it's culture defined. And it's place-based, so it's really a bioregional and hyper-local way of going about it. SLV is a great example, and so it allows us to do that all over the world because it can be a global recipe, but the ingredients are different, right? For regeneration, and so this is what this purpose trust allows us to guide the money into. It's basically like a portal. I think of it like Yoda and Gandalf. Did you think I was going to go there?
No.
So like Yoda in Star Wars, Yoda's only here to like remind Luke of his own power, right? And then Yoda's gone. And Gandalf is protecting what needs to be protected. So I like to think of the Era Purpose Trust as Yodolf. It's like a combo. And so it allows us to pull the financial resources together into one portal that then allows us to decentralize and move back into relationship. And this is where it moves into water cycles, large and small hydrologic cycles on the planet. We can do this with economics. And doing regenerative economics, that's all closed loop and hyper-local and bioregional that all then rebalance each other. And you're not losing money, like it's not flowing out through the cracks. It's staying local and you're keeping money here to reconnect us to relationship because money is only a replacement for relationship anyway. And so, do you want to talk about?
That was beautiful.
Okay. Okay, community dynamics, that's like how we move, the idea with Savory Institute, holistic plant grazing, how you move animals in relationship with the land as best we can to mimic what wolves would be doing, pushing them. We can bring in humans. Like right now, so many humans are stuck in the extractive industrial system. They don't have time to breathe, much less have the money to like buy local regenerative food. It's cheaper to buy this industrial stuff that is nutrient lacking and toxic. And so we can help to move people into this community dynamic relationship so that we can all work in regeneration together. And that goes into deep rabbit holes. I don't need to do that right now. Oh, and guess what? Mineral cycle, the byproduct of all of these right relationships is regeneration. We don't need to focus on like, oh, there's this. What are we going to do about that? Oh, God, there's this over here. It's like we're trying to patch all these holes in this like sinking boat. No. Let's just leave the frickin' boat. Let's go over here to a new boat because this boat does not work anymore. It doesn't hold water. Like it is killing everyone and everything. So let's go over here. We can leave a system of death and move into a system of life.
Beautiful. Okay. You guys are amazing.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay.
What we're leaving. Okay, I just kind of already said this. Invitation to leave this completely, not try to like inject or try to fight. Because think about all that energy out there right now. That's the energy of activism, the energy of nonprofits, the energy of philanthropy, trying to do good. We're fighting. That takes a lot of energy. If we just take that and we just kind of go over here and then we move that into with life ways of being with each other, because holy crap, can we do a lot together. By the way, this really cool biochar guy told me that there's a certain threshold of soil health that once the microbial networks hit like that level of health in the soil, they go from competition and cannibalism to collaboration and relationship. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. It's humans too. We are just like the soil. And so we have that ability. Let's do it. Oh, what we're leaving. Okay, we're leaving competition. We're moving into collaboration. We're leaving isolation and silos, moving into community and relationships. We're leaving ownership. We're moving into stewardship. We're leaving hierarchy. So here's hierarchy, right? And then everybody down here is suffering. People up here are suffering too, by the way. It's like they're also not happy, right? But they've got a lot of money. So they want to help. Let's have them help. And then we can squish that into synarchy, which is where we move into like mycelial networks and collective leadership, and we're all working together, finding our strengths and our passions and the way we want to move with life and each other. Extraction to regeneration, scarcity to abundance, fear to love.
That's right.
Okay, I think we'll... Oh, and the current industrial system will just kind of fade away because we didn't focus on it.
Amen.
All right, next. We got to hurry because I want to get Kyle up here.
Okay. Oh, we're done.
Okay, cool. So we wanted to have Kyle come up and chat super quick from his heart. Sorry, this is always a lot. Whew.
Here,
Hope
I
it's
would
been
love
fun
to,
so
I would
far.
love
Yes,
to say
please, thank
something
you.
real quick.
Thank you.
I'll bring you up. There is a lot of complexities to the strategy behind this. And so if you would like to learn more about this economic and governance design, we're happy to talk about it over there. We felt that'd be a bit too dense for a conversation and presentation. But it's a lot of excitement, but we are applying it into a grounded design, and I'd love to open up about that.
He can answer that. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes, go ahead.
And now we're inviting Kyle Grote, who is owner and rancher of Chokere Ranch, who's local here in Crestone. And we met him a few months ago, and he has been such a support of this energy and all that we're doing here. And so thank you for joining us on stage. Thank you, brother.
Wow. Give it up for Era. How do you, you guys are awesome. Your energy, your heart, you speak my language in many, many ways. Many years ago in 2007, I was drawn to go to an auction, and me and my wife were looking for a quiet place to raise our kids, so this auction, it was the old Weiss Ranch, this 2,400 acre ranch in Moffett on County Road T as you're headed into Crestone. And we were looking at maybe just doing 2 parcels, the 2 deep water wells. And I heard this little voice in my head. There was a local rancher that wanted to divert the water out of the area, and this voice said, if you want to protect water, protect it now. And so I listened. And so then me and my wife, Tiana, we decided to name it Chokere Ranch. Chokere is a powerful symbol to help protect the water. And ever since, we've been caretakers. And, I didn't grow up farming and ranching. So I needed to get a lot of advice and, bring in some really talented people. And so, in fact, the previous owner, he told me, he said, now, Kyle, you need big animals to mow the grass. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know if I want cattle. I don't know. Buffalo are big, And so we chose yak because they're high altitude cattle, and they're perfect for this area. They call this the mini Himalayans, And so they're winter hardy. They're disease resistant. I'm a little nervous, too, for some reason. Anyway, they're docile, and they're just very wise, beautiful creatures. And what's really cool about yak is they're not picky on what they eat, and they don't just eat the good stuff. They eat it all. It has been a challenge to do the rotational grazing. We would as far as yak are very hairy, and electric fences haven't always worked with the yak. We've tried. So what we'd like to do is add more cross fencing and rotate them, but we do a very good job about rotating from pasture to pasture and let it rest. And a really cool fact about Chocoré Ranch is that it hasn't had harmful chemicals sprayed or pesticides for over 73 years. And it might have never had anything sprayed. I don't know, but I know for sure 73 years in the 18 years that we've had, it has not been sprayed. There's no tilling going on. We're definitely very passionate about regenerative soil. We are very passionate about protecting the water and the land. And, our history here, we've done a lot of amazing things. Bringing on an amazing team. We grew high vibrating, high altitude vegetables for the community all year round. We had this amazing restaurant called the Yak and Cracker, which was completely GMO-free organic food from the farm. And our slogan was, know where your food comes from and feel good when you eat. And that was true. Like you came into our restaurant and you didn't just see cartoon animals and stuff. You saw live, pictures of the yak and chickens, and it was so cool because we even would harvest, and that same day people would eat our vegetables, our salads and stuff. So anyway, we had to make some hard decisions to keep protecting the land and water, and we closed the restaurant and the veggie operation for a while. And we've been continuing to grow the yak. We started out with 12 yak in 2008, and now we have over 300 head of yak. And they're super healthy and happy. In fact, that's another little slogan. We're home of the happy yak. And so anyway, where we're at now to continue to protect the land and water, we're looking for partners. We're looking for something different, something that we can, move forward and really help the ranch thrive, get back into the veggie production and grow all year round. We have commercial land, we have space, 2,400 acres that could be developed properly near Moffett, where there could be some energy production, there can be an eco-village, there can be all these things that can support Crestone and support the San Luis Valley. Because one thing for us, we feel that this beautiful valley really could be a blue zone. You've heard about blue zones, and everybody's like, gosh, I want to go live there. Well, we live in this beautiful place here that we could make a blue zone. And I feel very passionate that can be a reality one day. And I didn't have somebody holding notes for me. I thought that was a good trick because, I just decided to speak from the heart. But as far as, here, hold this for just a second. I was going to say, because my closing is about you guys, and I didn't want to mess it up. Don't want to mess it up. Okay. And I should have had a notebook, right? And, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. So just recently, I met this amazing team, ERA, and I got really excited because they think outside the box, I'm impressed on their mission-aligned venture capital model. For example, focusing on the land, food, energy, water, and shelter, which I've always said, if every community had its own water, energy, food, and shelter, if something happens over here, our community's still going to thrive, man. And and that's how we should live anyway, right? That's something that never made sense to us when we were growing vegetables. We stuck by this regional food shed where we didn't understand why people were sending produce from over here when we had it over here, and then we're sending it over there. It's like, get the communication right. So anyway, another thing that I've always believed in is that you really can't truly own land. We're just caretakers, and that's, You know, you can't own animals, you can't own land, and you just do your best to take care of it. I believe ERA is an example of creating abundance for projects in the valley. Instead of paying high interest loans from banks, which the banks could eventually take over your land, I really believe ERA wants to give it back to the people. And so I'm really excited that I met this group, and I appreciate you letting me speak. Have a beautiful day. And thank you so much, community, for all your support over the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you so much. Just want to leave us with a quote, and I'm sure you all know it, in the immortal words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Say it with me if you want. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.